All right, we're asked to factor this polynomial that's been split into four terms. To do this, we're going to use a method called factor by grouping. Actually, this is a method that we need for later when we start factoring quadratics using the AC method. I want to talk about this real quick. The first moves we're going to do is we're going to separate these into two groups, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to write this 15x squared minus 35x, put some parentheses around that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this second set. Actually, this problem ends up being a little bit more difficult because of this negative right here. What I want to do, I'm going to write this second group like this. So I'm going to put parentheses around 6x plus 14 right here. But I'm going to put a plus in between here. The important move to help you organize yourself is to think of this as a negative 6x, and you'll see why that's important in a second. All right, then what I do is I'm simply going to factor out the greatest common factor out of each of these groups. This first group is 5x is my greatest common factor, and I'm left with a 3x minus 7. Now in this next group, I'm going to actually factor out a negative because of this negative in front of the 6. I'm going to factor out a negative 2. 2 is the greatest common factor. There's no x's because this last term is a constant. I'm going to factor out a negative 2. I could write plus and then negative 2 like this, but it's a bit cumbersome. What I'm going to do is write this just as a minus 2 to make it a little bit easier. Then I'm going to factor out a negative 2 from these two. And this is going to divide each of these terms by negative 2. That will change the sign. That will be a 3x, and then I'll have a negative 7 here. Because again, positive 14 divided by negative 2 is a negative 7. All right, final steps in factor by grouping is now to factor out the common binomial that they should have. If everything works out well, you should have this situation right here where this binomial now in these two groups is exactly the same, and what we're going to do is factor that out, and it looks like this. So we're going to get 3x minus 7 here. What I'm left with is 5x minus 2. This visually is really difficult for people at first. You get really used to it, and you can see basically what happens is if you have this same binomial here, 3x minus 7, we're going to take it out of each of these, and what we get left with is just the 5x and the minus 2 right here. Another way to think of this is when you write it out front, 3x minus 7, you just cancel out this binomial factor here, and what you're left with is that 5x and then minus 2 that goes in the second parentheses right there.